And taking a further look into relations between Russia and China and the legacy of World War II, we turn to Victor Gao in Beijing. He's a current affairs commentator and the chairman of the China Energy Security Institute. Thanks for joining us, Victor. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Victor, tell us, is it fair to say the Europeans, Russia, China face more common threats and concerns now than any time since the Second World War?
I think yesterday's parade itself is a great success. It's one of the most impressive parades in modern history, in my own judgment. And between China and Russia, I think we managed to demonstrate to the whole world that we unite in terms of defending the victory legacy of the Second World War, the war against fascism and Nazism. Russia is experiencing a lot of difficulties with European countries, with the United States, with Japan, etc. But I would say it is really very unfortunate that Western leaders failed to attend, because in terms of defending the victory legacies of the Second World War, all of us, the whole world, need to be united in doing the same thing and sending the right message to the effect that the war of aggression launched by Nazism and fascism and Japanese militarism should never be repeated again, and the world will be guarding against that possibility and prevent that from happening. And I think that should be the main message of the military parade yesterday in Moscow, even though there may be other messages that Russia wants to send to the world.
Victor, how are they working together behind the scenes on strategic national interests such as the Iran nuclear talks, climate change, and obviously fighting global terror?
Yeah, I would say you raised all the important issues. For all these issues, I think either we will not be able to solve them, or it will be much more difficult for all the stakeholders to solve these major issues if you do not bring Russia along, for example. Therefore, try to re-engage with Russia by the Western major countries actually will work not only for the benefit of Russia, but also for the Western powers themselves, including the United States. I would say the estrangement of relations between Russia and the United States ultimately may make it much more difficult to solve all these major issues: global war against terrorism, climate change, the Iran nuclear issues, many of these issues. So I would say that yesterday the Western countries and leaders did miss a very important opportunity. But I hope they will regain their senses and work together with Russia to re-engage with each other and come to at least some kind of minimum understanding with each other to prevent any more escalation of the tension between them. Because I would say further escalation of tension between Russia and the West powers is not good for the whole world.
Victor, how does Russia view the legacy of the war in the post-war history as the U.S. has actually written it?
Well, I would say there are a few things which actually can unite all these major countries together. And one of these things is actually how we should work together to defend the victory legacies of the Second World War. And if we cannot agree on this major point, then it is really a very big, unfortunate thing for the whole world. And this is mainly because if you look at the world today, the current international political order is to a very large extent built upon the victory legacies of the Second World War. You name it, the United Nations system, for example, the World Bank system, the IMF, for example, all these major institutions that we feel familiar and that we deal with them on a daily basis without thinking too much about them are actually directly established in the immediate aftermath of the victory of the Second World War. Therefore, I think defending the victory legacies of the Second World War is, to a very large extent, defending the current prevailing international security order. And I think, in this respect, try to re-engage Russia and bring Russia back into this framework is better than putting Russia outside of that, because First of all, the sanctions imposed by the Western countries will not work if China and Russia partner with each other and cooperate with each other. Secondly, economic sanctions rarely work anyway. You look at the almost 6 decades of economic sanctions imposed by the United States on Cuba. Eventually, the United States had to change its course. Therefore, I think if any Western countries believe that imposing sanctions on Russia will force Russia to kneel down and kowtow, I think is a little bit of indulging in fantasy. Re-engagement with Russia works for the benefit of Russia as well as the Western countries, but I would say it also is a very important step for keeping global peace and stability. That's why I think it's time to urge Russia and the United States in particular to re-engage with each other rather than remaining estranged with each other, creating all the possibilities of great instability in the world today.
Victor Gao, thank you so much joining us live from Beijing.